Good afternoon. I want to welcome everyone back to the 2017 Women's College World Series. Bless you. Here at Oklahoma City. This will be our first press conference today. The second one will start at 3 p.m. today here in the same room. Today's presser from my right, your left, we have head coach Patty Gasso from the University of Oklahoma, whose team advanced out of the Auburn Super Regional, and they come into the Women's College World Series with an overall record of 56-9, and they're making their 11th appearance here at the Women's College World Series. Next to her, we have the young coach Mike White from the University of Oregon, whose team advanced out of the Eugene Super Regional, and they come into the Women's College World Series with an overall record of 52-6 and making their 5th appearance here at the WCWS. And next to him, we have the very young coach Heather Tarr from the University of Washington, whose team advanced to the WCWS out of the Seattle Super Regional. Washington comes in with an overall record of 48-12 and making their 12th appearance here at the WCWS. And next to her, we have the young fellow, Glenn Moore from Baylor University, whose team advanced out of the Tucson Super Regional with an overall record of 48-13 and are making their 4th appearance here at the WCWS. At this time, we'll go with each coach, give general comments, and then we open up for questions. Starting with Coach Gasso. Coach.
You did not preface my introduction with young at all.
I didn't think I had to.
You kind of do. We're, again, just really pleased to be here. It was quite a season with a lot of highs and lows and a very tough regional at home that we had our backs against the wall. To see this team fight through it and go against a very good Auburn team in Auburn was another difficult challenge, but to see them step up and face the challenge was exceptional. So I'm extremely proud of this group, and getting a chance to be back here and being called one of the Final 8 is quite an honor, and we're very pleased to be back.
Coach White.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we're very excited to be back after missing out last year in a close one in Eugene. I think that this is the first time that all 16 seeds made it through to the regional round, to the super regional round, And I think that shows a lot of the parity. And even the teams that are outside the 16 were very, very good and could have probably been in that top 16. So I think it looks very good for softball itself. We had our backs to the wall at least twice, and going into the last innings or so, and for us to fight our way through and to make it here, it definitely almost seems like the hardest part is getting here. But we also know that once you're here, it's hard there as well. So great competitive teams here. We're looking forward to, again, helping softball make the big stage and having great games against great competitors. Great crowds, everything about Oklahoma City says the show, and that's what it's about. And we're here to help showcase that game of softball. So thank you.
Coach Tarr.
Yeah, we're just so proud of our team and our program for being able to get back here. It's a place that, 09 we won it, 10 we were here, 13 we found a way back, but we've had a little drought. And so I'm just really proud of our team and our program for really setting its mission at finishing in the top 8, which we were able to earn that seed to get the host of regionals and super regionals. It wasn't easy for us. We had a great team in Michigan come in, and we had to find a way to beat them twice at home, face a really good pitcher in Megan Bedza. And then, of course, we faced Utah for our 4th, 5th, and 6th times on the season within the last, 15 days, so that was pretty tough to do. They took us to the IF game, which was a little bit challenging. We were able to win a nail-biter 2-1 to get here, but just super proud of our team, trying to make a name for ourselves. I know we're somewhat known here with some tradition in our program, but it's really tough to get here. It's really tough to get the seeding to be able to get here, and again, I'm so excited for our team and our program and what's to come, and can't wait to continue our quest.
Coach Moore.
Yeah, I agree with these guys. It's very tough to get here. Every year I have tons of boosters ask us if they need to purchase tickets to the World Series, and I always say it's about 300 teams trying to get here, and it takes a lot of work and a little bit of luck to get here. And we started the year off with 5 surgeries in the fall and lost 2 of those players that would have been starters. So we had a lot of unanswered questions, and biggest one was pitching, which is a pretty important part of this game. And Kelsey Selman and Gio Rodoni both stepped it up big for us and led this team, which was probably in a rebuilding mode, somewhat of a rebuilding mode, to becoming a pretty good team. And, we just certainly didn't have an easy path. I think of the 4 World Series we've been to, we've only hosted a Super Regionals once. So that's beating the odds right there. So I think this team thinks they're odds beaters. So, but it was fun to go through Tucson. Obviously I don't have to tell everybody what that would have been like and the challenge ahead of us there. So to be able to celebrate that Super Regional victory in Tucson was big for our program.
All right, we're going to open it up for questions. Just raise your hand. We'll get a mic over to you.
Hey, Glenn, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You've obviously faced Oklahoma a lot over the years.
Too much.
Historically, what's the challenge you've seen going against their pitching staff, especially historically, as I said, but then what's the challenge this year as you see those pitchers going against them?
Well, historically, I have a lot of lefties in my lineup, and they have a lot of lefties pitchers that are pretty good, and that's not the best matchup, so that's a challenge in itself. They're a team that's full of tradition and know how to win when they're down, and they got great leadership. There's never going to be an easy game against them. So I guess overcoming that is the biggest challenge.
Clay Horning, Norman Transcript. Patty, about Paige Lowry, her earned run average at one time was 2.7. It's now 1.6 something, and I'm just looking at it here. Her walks are way down. Her strikeouts are even a little bit down. But whatever, she's become a much more effective pitcher. What has happened for her this season?
Melissa Lombardi has happened to her. Our pitching coach has done a fantastic job, really starting from ground zero and giving her a breath. A lot of you might know she had a horrible, actually it was, an organ player when she was at Missouri. Hit a ball up the middle that caught Paige in the face, and it was pretty traumatic. And she just kept playing, kept going. And when she came to OU, we wanted to give her some time off. The doctors recommended it. And then it was after those 2 months, and it became like a rebuilding. Start over from ground zero, and let's redevelop you into what you're comfortable with. And she bought into it, and she's become a completely different, more confident pitcher.
Cliff Brunt, Associated Press. This is for Coach Gasso. Last year, you said that the young ladies weren't even maybe sure what they were doing because they were so young and so new to it. Now that they're defending national champions and they've been through it, how have they handled the process of getting to this point?
I don't think we handled it very well to start. And there was a lot of expectations that they took on their shoulders. It's pretty evident. We struggled through mid-March. And it's very tiring to live in that world. And we, through a lot of work together, pretty much decided this isn't fun. Softball isn't fun right now. So let's go back to what we know. And they all, again, bought in and exhaled and became a very competitive, trusting bunch with each other and enjoyed softball again. And that's really the key, is just let your guard down and go for it. And they did, and ended us back here. So it was a phenomenal journey with them.
Kyle Fredrickson with the Oklahoman. A question for Heather. I saw on social media recently that Holly Rowe had posted a photo of a poster board she'd received from your team with signed messages of encouragement with her battle with cancer. What do you think compelled your girls to do that, and what has Holly kind of meant to this sport? Is, of course, she's here this week as well.
Well, I think just in terms of, our football program was able to bring ESPN and Holly out to Seattle at that weekend, and we thought, gosh, how cool is it that one of our softball favorites from ESPN is in our neck of the woods? And we ended up actually not meeting her. She had messaged me, but it just didn't work. And our team was so excited to at least just write her a note on our whiteboard in our locker room with the hopes that she would be there. And she ended up seeing it. And, it's just kind of ironic what we had written on the message. And, we just said, our fight is nothing like your fight, but hope to see you in Oklahoma City. And, it rang true. How awesome for our team and obviously for Holly, too, to be here doing what she loves.
Joey Helmer, OUinsider.com. For both sets of coaches, what are your thoughts on just the familiarity between the teams and having conference matchups in these games?
We'll start with Coach Gasso.
Talking to Glenn, I don't think either one of us are thrilled to see each other this early. We're just thrilled to be representing the Big 12 when we don't get a lot of attention. So I think we're both pretty thrilled to be here. That in tunes where I would say we might talk about restructuring or reseeding once teams get here and try to avoid some of this, but it is what it is, and I think both of us are, like I said, just proud of our teams and ready to get going.
Coach White.
Yeah, I think it's something that you'd like to avoid if you could, but I know back in September at the Pac-12 coaches meeting, we really, as a group, wanted to see more Pac-12 teams back at the Women's College World Series. We almost had 4. If it wasn't probably a super regional matchup, could have had 5. But you never know. But it was exciting for our conference to have more than 1 or 2 teams here for sure, and having been 3 of the 8 is great for our conference, and hopefully we can represent well. It's unfortunate we do play each other the first round, but those things happen. I'd much rather be doing it here than not be here. So it is what it is, and we just got to go out to make the most of the opportunity.
Coach Tarr.
Well, I think if you look back in history in terms of, all of our conferences, there have been a lot of times where you've seen these early matchups. And I remember just as a player experiencing, you actually almost didn't want to win the Pac-10 at the time because, kind of like set you up for maybe peaking early. And so you end up, facing maybe a UCLA, our program, or an Arizona in the College World Series first game out. And so I think it just kind of, it's awesome to see the greatness kind of rise to the top, and eventually you're going to run into each other if you're doing a good job. So like he's saying, it is what it is, and it's a game, and we all get to play and get to see what we got when it matters.
Coach Moore.
I think 3 of our 4 appearances we've started with a conference foe, and certainly not the way you would draw it up if you had to pick, but I certainly don't want to pick from this group of teams either. They're all quality teams, and it's just going to be some great softball this week.
John McKelvey with the Noma Transcript. I just had a question for Mike and Heather. When you look at this field, there's 3 double-digit seeds, but you have OU and LSU as 2 of those, and those are 2 of the most storied programs in history of softball. What's that like, knowing that these teams pulled the upsets to get there, but they're still, plenty powerful themselves?
Coach Tarr.
I just think, we've been here in that position before too. 2013, we beat Missouri. We were the 13 or whatever we were at the time. But, those programs have every chance to be here that everybody else does. And I think that they should be here. So whether they were seated in maybe the underdog or came from, the bottom and got to the top, like they're just as good as everybody else. So I'm not surprised that those teams are in it.
The seeds come from over the body of work of the season, and we all know it's what happens at the end. I think if you look at Oklahoma last year, they didn't start off great, but man, they were the best team at the end, and they're starting to do the same thing this year, and I think that's what we all want. We all want to peak at the right time on the big stage, and that's what matters the most. So the seedings right now, there are no seedings. It's just we've got opponents, and whoever plays the best on the day is going to get the next game, and that's what we want to make sure we try and do, play the best on the day.
Yeah, Glenn, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Baylor Athletics been in the news a lot the last couple of years for things you don't want to be in the news about. But your golf team made the Final 4 or Final 8 yesterday. Your tennis team's great. The basketballs have continued. You're in the World Series. What have you guys done in Waco to make sure that that scandal didn't affect your program, and you guys were able to not just keep going but excel and get better?
Well, I think we've become the model school for correcting the mistakes we've made, and it'll be a shame if other schools that are making the same mistakes that we made don't follow that, and that if national media just focuses on Baylor instead of the other schools, because we have an opportunity to correct those mistakes nationwide or make a great effort to do that. And I think Baylor's gone above and beyond, not that you can go beyond, but can't do too much in those circumstances, to make sure that we correct those mistakes. So as far as Baylor softball, we've continued to do what we've always done. We took the team to Denham Springs, Louisiana, and helped out. I didn't see any national media there filming any of that. Spent several days down there during the flooding. We're headed to Ghana, Africa in December. Goodwill events that we don't publicize because we're just doing what we do and Baylor has done all along. But typically they focus on the negative, and I understand that. So I hope my desire is that there will be focus nationwide on the cultural issues that we have going on in our society rather than just attacking Baylor.
Cliff Brunt, Associated Press. This is a general question. This time last year, we weren't really sure what was going to happen in terms of softball being an Olympic sport. Now it's back. What does that do for the sport and for some of the players here who might have that maybe as something that they'll gun for down in the future?
We'll start in with Coach Moore.
If you don't mind, just I hate to ask you to repeat that question, but if you would, I missed the point there.
So softball will be in the Olympics at 2020.
Olympics, okay.
Right. And so what does that do for your sport, and then also for some of the players who may have dreams of getting there?
Well, when I've been coaching long enough to have seen the initial rise of softball across the country, not just on the West Coast and the warm climates, because of the Olympics. And I held camps where kids would come in and their dream, every resume we got from kids was, my dream is to play in the Olympics. So it gives them an opportunity to dream and motivates them. It's grown our sport. So from that point of view, it's going to continue to do that. It's a great sport, and it changes lives.
Coach Tarr.
I just think the greatest stage in a lot of sports is the Olympic Games, and I think the neatest part for softball is that in 2020 it will be back. Of course, you don't know its future beyond that, but in the interim, it brings back that feeling that maybe those young kids had once it got into the Olympics in '96 and beyond. But I just think more importantly, we all have the obligation, if the Olympics is to continue to have softball in it, is to continue to grow the game globally. And unless that continues to happen, it won't continue to prosper in the world. Obviously, it's prospering in the United States, and we're all proud of that. But I think this is an opportunity for all of us to help continue to grow the game more worldly, and I'm hopeful to continue that in however I can contribute.
Coach White.
Well, the boost to softball from the '96 Olympics was just tremendous, and it really pushed everything not only into the college ranks but the lower levels as well. But internationally now, what we're seeing is that a lot of countries are opening up and looking for U.S.-born or U.S. players who actually have heritage from another country. My daughter's one. The ability to go play for New Zealand, and possibly go on from there, who knows. But it is opening up a lot of avenues, and what we're hoping is that those foreign teams actually become better, and the competitive stage on international level will get even better, and that'll push the softball past that just Japan and just USA level. So we want to get that bigger stage, make everybody better. Rising tide lifts all boats, and so we're hoping that the Olympic stage will do that for us.
Coach Gasso.
Agree with all. Just the dream that kids get to dream again, representing your country, is a dream of anybody. So especially now, it just seems like there's more to represent and more pride in wanting to. So the dream's back, and I couldn't be more thrilled, as all of us coaches could could tell. You see the little kids come to your camps, know that that's what they're shooting for. It's a great thing for our sport.
This question's for Coach Tarr. You guys have been known for swinging the bats really well all season long, and then specifically in the last game against Utah, you guys win kind of a grinded-out, low-scoring affair. Does that give your team a lot of confidence heading into this tournament?
I think our team has gone through like a 3-year progression where we had to find a way to overcome our pitching for a couple years. After we graduated 2 good arms in 2014, so 15, 16, we were just finding ways to maybe overcome some of our young pitching or lack of pitching. So our offense is somewhat regulating to, feeling the pressure of not scoring 8, 10 runs. It's okay. We need to pitch. We need to play defense. And whatever it takes to get one more run, that's what we have to do. And so it's kind of recentered ourselves to, find we can outscore someone, but at the end of the day, at the championship level, most likely it's going to come down to who can pitch, play defense, and score the couple runs that you need.
Lee Benson from KWTV in Oklahoma City. This is for Coach Gasso and Coach Moore. I was wondering if you could both talk about the biggest differences in your teams since the early season, regular season series that you guys had in Norman.
Coach Gasso.
I think we're a little more confident team and even a little more complete. Pitchers have really found their groove. Offense has improved some. So I just think we're just a little more complete than we were in early April.
I think we are more unified as a team. I think we were going in multiple directions and trying to get on the same page. And, a lot of that has to do with the stresses of college life, academics. And once that's over, it certainly allows you to, just think about softball. And not everybody has that ability because they're still in class, some of them. But I think that's unified us quite a bit after we got those stressors out of the way.
Kendrick Marshall, Toast the World for Coach Gasso. How confident is it for you to go in this College World Series knowing that your pitching staff is a little bit deeper than it was last year at this time?
We're in 2 different worlds than we were last year, and I look back at what Paige Parker did, and I find it pretty amazing. I don't know when we might see another pitcher do what she did, from throwing every inning of every regional, super regional, and College World Series except the second championship game. So now having options and having a little bit deeper staff takes a lot of stress off of Paige and keeps her mind a little bit freer and strong. And I think our team feels that as well. They don't feel like, we got to keep doing, we got to, kind of on what Heather was saying, just feeling like you have to score because Paige is going to run out of gas. So, we're talking about a completely different style now that we have confidence in everybody who can come in and throw a pitch. And I just don't want to mess that up. With Paige, it's like, you do it. This is you. I can't mess this up. You're the only choice we have. Now there's choices, so we need to be calculated and smart in what we're doing.
Kyle Fredrickson with the Oklahoman. A question for all the coaches. This is an event that's been held in Oklahoma City for a long time now. This facility that they've had has also evolved over those years. Just in terms of comparisons to other stadiums that you play in, other venues, how does this compare? What are some of your favorite aspects of the stadium and the facility here? And is there anything that you'd like to maybe see changed or updated in future years?
Coach Moore.
Oh, man, I tell the girls every year, this is the center of the universe for the softball world, and the atmosphere probably supersedes anything facility-wise, but the facilities are phenomenal, and field's great. I heard last night we're, over the next couple of years, adding seating, so that would be the one thing I would say that we need for the World Series is more seating and an air condition, maybe a dome. But other than that, this is a great venue.
Coach Tarr.
It's just selfishly for our program, not possibly having a senior class that got to come here, and this senior class found a way to get their group to come here. It's like Disneyland for softball. It's the mecca of softball. And to be able to show them the progressions of how it's it used to look when it was just grass on the sides and, you know, just a little white fence and really nobody in the outfield, to literally, like he's saying, like adding that second deck and then having them go see the Hall of Fame museum and then go downstairs and see like the tradition and the history of college softball. Like, it's just the coolest place to be, and I'm just so excited for our players to be able to experience it.
Coach White.
I guess one of the best things about coming back is you get to see how it improves each time, and just the little things sometimes can make a big difference. You know, just the hotel situation, having 8 different hotels is pretty nice. Makes it a little, especially for the teams that are still in school, less distractions. You know, I think that's pretty good. Try to keep things normal. As far as the playing surface goes, it still gets pretty dangerous in the first and third base dugout, so I'd like to see a net that protects the players. I think that's something that should happen.
Coach Gasso.
I've seen some great improvements throughout. Now adding, I thought, a locker room attached to your dugout where we didn't have to use the porta potties in your dugout, but you could go now into a locker room with bathrooms, and a meeting room attached to the dugout was very important. So I've seen some great improvements. What's hard for me is being 30 minutes away. People think that I work at the Ticket Master and can give them free tickets and free parking passes, and I think we get the toughest happens against us, thinking that we're trying to work deals. It's hard sometimes, but I'm not complaining. I'm happy that it's close to home and the Sooner fans get spoiled by that. So we're pleased about it.
So you're saying you don't have tickets to the game?
I don't have parking for you. I do not.
All right. Are there any other questions at this time? If not, coaches, good luck this week and thank you.
Thank you.